Little mock-up fit. We're shooting old paint here with tool forward. Oh yeah, that sounds nice.
How much was that?
I think this was 9. Just picked it for you.
Watch, mine's like the really worst shape.
No, dude, it's so nice. It's like, just need brought back a little bit.
It's kind of the shape I put in all my shoes anyways.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Pretty like broad toe. Not a real pointy toe.
Right up my alley too.
That draft horse had him quick. Brian's foot's sweet, dude.
Yeah,
like these are like very, like tool and fuller will look real nice on these.
These are always like the easiest feet to like screw up because they're.
You want to touch this.
Yeah.
Stuff. Like I would maybe touch this.
The bar right there.
Yeah, that big bar.
You don't want to necessarily get in up on any of that much.
But this is. I would consider a guy chickening out if he did it. Wouldn't you? Like if you were judging. If you were just judging, you came up to this, you'd be like, I mean, he didn't ruin it, but he should have touched it.
Yeah.
Like, and by you not touching it is telling me you didn't have confidence in yourself that you can do it.
Yeah. I've been down that road before. Well, it's been a good morning. So since this was a practice go between my teammates, Brian Strelow, Jesse Wilson, and Riley Kirkpatrick, the schedule in which how we shoe this horse, I'm actually the third guy that gets to go trim my foot for this horse. So the video is going to be a little bit out of order in the sense of like how the shoemaking and trimming of the horse goes. So you're going to see me start building my shoe from the start here, and what we're actually doing, I'm starting to build my wedge, and then Brian Strelow, he's coming in, and we're running this section through a tooling block. So it starts out as 5/8 square, and now we're going to run the section in, create the tooled and fullered look. So I'm going to essentially just go back and forth between me building this shoe and trimming the foot. So a bit more of the same thing. I'm going to start by cleaning up my wedge, and then now we just have to continue running this section through the block. The main thing with this is that you get the steel drove all the way down to fill that block to create the whole section. If you don't go all the way down to the full depth, you're not going to get a true section, and it's not going to look right, essentially. And then we also have to get it drawn out to a certain length because I've measured my foot and I need this steel to be basically 11.5 inches so that it'll fit my foot and cover my foot. This tool we're hitting here is called a flatter. It basically gives you a flat blow from the sledgehammer so there's no inconsistency between the sledgehammer and the steel. So now I'm starting to turn up the steel for my heel caulk. So on the outside of the shoe, it's called a heel caulk, and then the inside, or the medial, is a wedge. So I'm just starting my heel caulk here. So now I've got my heel caulk made, and we just got to do more of the same thing of running that steel through the block to create our section and finish the section before it's turned into a horseshoe. From my understanding, tool and fullered horseshoes are a very traditional English-style horseshoe that were used in the early years for fox hunting or field hunting. It basically is the predecessor to what is now called concave steel, and concave steel comes from the factory already with a groove down the center, and then on the inside of the stock it's actually concaved and has a slope. So this was before concave was being manufactured straight from a plant. So here I'm measuring my stock and making sure that I'm fully ran out to where I need to be, and I'm a little bit short, so we're going to run the section right through the block one more time with the flatter on there just to get my little bit of extra length that I need. Now I'm measuring my stock so I can put a center dot on there on where I want my center dot to be and have adequate amount of offset. With the caulk and a wedge, you need just a little bit more offset because the caulk actually fits back just a little bit farther than the wedge, and the inside or the wedge or the medial needs to be fit very snug because it's hunter shoeing. Gonna start trimming this old brood. So now it's my turn to trim my foot. The first thing that comes to me as I pick up this foot and start trimming is, since it was already barefoot, the foot is already fairly short. With it being short and already trimmed up quite a bit, I need to be very precise with my knife and not overdo it and do too much. So the main thing I'm wanting to do is enhance the bars and show them off to give the foot like a little bit more depth. And bars basically are an extension of the hoof wall, and having them in there can give the foot more strength. And in the competitive horseshoeing world, being able to knife out the bars really well just shows the amount of control the guy can have with his hoof knife, and shows that he's deliberate and did it with intention. There's not much frog to trim off here, so I just need to clean up the edges and not overdo it with my hoof knife. Frog's gonna be kind of tough to trim. It's all raggedy, so it's like you don't want to get after it too much. There's a little pocket on the lateral side where the frog was washed out either from excessive moisture or thrush, so I'm just trying to get rid of the tag and not get into it too much. In whether it's certification or competition, if you touch it and if there's a knife mark or a rasp mark, you now own it. So now I'm sighting the foot with the limb to see how much I need to take off in length from medial to lateral balance so that the foot becomes flat. Just trying to be as deliberate as possible with my rasp strokes and not overdo it. What are you boys nickering about out there, huh? And right there at the medial, like in the toe quarter there, you can see how my rasp hasn't hit it yet. That is a low spot already, so trying not to get down to that and enhance that. I want to make it look like I didn't touch that and make the foot as flat as possible. So I'm checking my foot for flat here once again and to see where I'm at. And essentially, when I trim feet, in this scenario is I like to get the foot roughed in to a good spot so that way I can start taking any excess length in and just get the foot mapped out to where I kind of want it to be. And then now I've started taking some length off, I'm going to start refining that foot and enhancing that foot. This can be very tedious and time consuming, but as also you have to keep in mind we are under the clock with a 2.5 hour time limit that all four of us get done with these shoes, so I have to be quick and deliberate at the same time. What I didn't include in this video was me top dressing the foot from the top and rasping off any distortion and coming back and flattening and leveling my foot before going back to building my shoe. So I did do that, I just did not include it in the video. Going to start turning my toe with overlapping blows with the round side of my hammer to create the same radius in which the foot is.
You got your calipers ready? It's hanging right here on this side. You just have more of the silver pencil ready and a splitter. It's hanging around the bottom.
So this T-square is actually mapping out where I'm going to start my fullering and where I want my toenails to be. So since we created this section basically from nothing, basically a blank piece of steel, now I'm going to mark where the fullering is going to go in with a splitter while the section is still straight. So that way I can get one uniform line and make sure that I'm not either going to drift coarse, which would be inward, or fine, which would be outward with the fuller. So we're just going to mark this nice and slow to make sure my line is correct, and that way I don't stray one way or the other. Now I'm putting the quarter bend in my horseshoe using the horn of the anvil. Also keeping in mind the shape of the foot that I have trimmed. So I'm making this shoe straight for this foot, so that way I don't have to make too many adjustments and cost too much time.
Start whipping along here. Put on the gas pedal. Pretty light.
Now we're going to start fullering our shoe to depth. One thing to keep in mind is with the shoe being this hot, you don't want to drive that fuller in as hard as you can from the start because it's just going to blow that out. So the main thing you want to do is coax that fuller down in through the steel nice and easy, so that way you can get all the way down to depth and it doesn't destroy your shoe and basically make a big blob. So you want to keep it in there as neatly as possible, and as the steel is getting cooler or colder, you can start hitting it a little bit harder with the sledgehammer. It's important to talk to your striker and make sure that he knows that and you don't go astray and have a screw up.
One. Looking pretty sweet, bro.
That's pretty neat.
Now we'll just repeat the same process for the outside branch of the shoe by turning the quarter, and then we'll fuller it, and then we'll punch it.
Instagram account. Yeah. They were like, hey, you want to be a rap star? Dude, that's why that underground likes it.
Now we're going to the horse to check our horseshoe and make sure that it fits. The first thing I want to do is make sure that my clips get burned in properly to the foot. For properly fit clips, they should be flush with the outside of the hoof wall and not be banging on. You should be able to run your hand all the way around the hoof and not feel that clip protrude out. When burning on a horseshoe, it leaves a mark with a little brown spot. That's where the shoe or the clip is. So I'm getting my little mark there, and then I'm going to knife out where my clips are so that way they're flush with the hoof wall.
California one. They don't let you smoke.
Really? What?
California. Everything causes cancer. See all the warning labels?
Oh, yeah. Won't cause cancer in 49 other states.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I missed it. Crap.
It's not, the screen's not on. How do I turn the screen on?
No, it's on.
I know, but I can't see anything. Oh, you're seeing it there. Gotcha. Yeah, it's big screen.
We're all wrapped up. This one's mine. Riley's is the right hind. Brian on the left front. It's an improvement.
Yeah. Oh man, like just staring, you know what I mean? Like that costume is just a little bit shorter, not as long. It's a little more pooched up. Like or at least wider in the front half, you know?
Mine should be.
Yeah, I like mine probably is too. This is just a little bit wider. It looks sweet, you know?
Yeah.
It looks a touch scant. And then the bars just fucking pop out. Horrible bar job. But that next horse has the same bars on. Yeah, get some nice shoes on it. Does they need more help?
This one's Riley's.
That thing's turned to the inside pretty good. There it goes about the same.
This one's Jesse's foot. You did good, old paint. You hung in there long enough for us. Now we're gonna shoe Blackie.